The man replied, "It was the woman you put with me. She gave me the fruits, and I ate." Where is taken from the book of Genesis chapter 3, verses 9 to 15. Let us ask ourselves some questions. How do you react when you discover that you have made a grievous mistake? How do you respond to someone who confronts you because you have done something wrong? What do you say to yourself when you mess up? Do you go about trying to exonerate yourself, shifting the blame to someone else, or blaming certain circumstances for making you do what you did? Or do you try to build defense to argue yourself out of that situation? Or do you try to offer excuses, explanation to justify what you did? Or do you tell yourself, it is what it is, it doesn't matter. After all, I'm human. How do you react when you are wrong? How do you respond when you are confronted with your wrongdoing? What do you tell yourself when you sin? After creating Adam, God put him in a garden and instructed him, of all the trees in this garden, enjoy it, eat them, but one of them you should not touch. We don't know why God gave that instruction. But then Adam went against God's instruction. And when he did, he knew he was wrong. Because when God showed up in the garden, Adam, knowing that he was wrong, ran away and hid himself because he knew he was guilty. Then the story changed when God confronted him with what happened and said to him, "Adam, have you disobeyed my instruction?" Adam said, "It is not me. It is not my fault. It is you, rather, and the woman you created. Because if you hadn't created this woman, I wouldn't have been in this mess. I wouldn't have made a mistake. So it is not my fault. It is not my responsibility. I didn't do it. You started it by creating this woman. After all, Adam did not ask for the woman to be created. So it was God's own initiative. Therefore, Adam was shifting the blame to God, saying to him, you created this woman out of your own volition. I didn't ask for anyone to come around. So you made it possible for me to make this mistake. And it was him, it was her, the woman, who actually perfected it. So it is not my fault. I'm not responsible. And then God went to the woman. What is it that you have done? And the woman said, it is not actually my fault. It is actually the serpent. It tempted me, so I'm innocent. I was tempted, so it's not my fault. And then when God went to the serpent, the poor serpent, he couldn't say anything. So he was the first person to receive the hammer. The punishment started with it, by pronouncing certain punishment on the serpent, and then it continued to Adam. Sometimes we carry this kind of attitude to God even. When we sin, when we make mistake, we go to God. Instead of acknowledging what we have done and taking responsibility, we try to explain. We try to offer excuses. In all sincerity, God is not interested in how it happened. He's not interested in our explanations, because in the bid to explain what happened, we find ourselves often trying to make excuses, trying to justify, or trying to blame someone else. Only thing God is interested is to hear us say, I am sorry, I accept responsibility. It is my fault. Although indeed, persons and circumstances could make us do something wrong. But we must accept that although people around us could facilitate our doing wrong, or enabling us, or motivating us, or tempting us to do something wrong, or circumstances could make it easier for us to do something wrong, we must accept that it is indeed our action, because we have the freedom to say no. And that was the second sin of Adam. So Adam didn't actually commit the sin of obedience only. He committed the sin of obedience, and then trying to justify himself, he committed another sin, which is the sin of denial, to take responsibility. I want to believe that if Adam had apologized at that first instance, God may not take away the punishment, but the punishment may not have been that severe. If Eve had said, "Oh, I'm sorry," God may have still punished Eve, the woman, but punishment wouldn't have been that severe. Sometimes we find ourselves trying to justify what we have done. What justification can we have before God for sinning, for doing something wrong? We need to avoid the mistake of Adam. Accept responsibility. As I said, persons and circumstances could enable, facilitate, or motivate, or even tempt us to do something wrong. Those things could diminish our culpability, but they do not take it away, because we have the freedom to choose. When I was in the seminary, our professor will always tell us, or insisted, that if we are wrong, if we are caught doing something wrong, the first thing he wanted us to say was, "I am sorry, Prof." Then if you have any explanation, that becomes secondary. But in the case of Adam, he was full of excuses. He was full of explanation. He was full of justification. So, dear friends, before God, explanations are not necessary. Before God, trying to tell the story is not necessary. Trying to explain what happened is not necessary. Trying to find or give excuses why you did it, they are not necessary. What God wants us to do at every moment we are wrong, especially before Him, is to say, "I am sorry. I take responsibility." For example, if something happens in the parish here, from a committee, or from a council, or from anybody at all, the person who bears the responsibility is me. So when it happened, I wouldn't say, "Oh, it is the sacristan." No, it is me. The sacristan is only helping me. So I should take the responsibility. We need to take responsibility. It's part of our spiritual growth and maturity to say, "Yeah, so many things must have happened, but I take responsibility and I apologize." Today, we have in our program to recommission those in the parish who help us in different ways, either as readers or as Eucharistic ministers. I would like to use this moment to thank them indeed for their sacrifices, for their services, and for their commitment. And I would like to invite them at the end of this homily to please come forward so that we do the ceremony of renewing your commitment, your dedication, and your promises. So, still within the context of this homily, may I invite those who are serving us in this community as extraordinary ministers of Eucharist to please come forward to the altar for the renewal of their commitment.